Now let's talk about the hard truth. And the hard truth about being an indispensable employee is that, well, we're all replaceable. Now, regardless of what your mother told you, you are not unique and you are not special. Now, a lot of times people will say, but I disagree, Dr. Tom. I have talent, I have drive, I have desire. Well, I grew up in the music scene in Los Angeles, and I saw hundreds of people who were incredibly talented, very driven. They had a unique sound, they had skill sets, but they were not able to cross what they term in Hollywood the 20-foot barrier to stardom. And there's a documentary out on that where they look at these incredibly talented background singers, and they were only 20 feet away from the star, whether it's Bruce Springsteen or whoever it happened to be. But for whatever reason, they couldn't cross the 20-foot barrier from backup singer to major talent. And nobody really knows why. Now, drive is not enough, talent is not enough. You have to be able to motivate yourself. And people who can't motivate themselves are destined to be in mediocrity. In sales, they call this call reluctance. So the salesperson is afraid of rejection. So in order to avoid rejection, they don't make a sales call. And if they don't make a sales call, they're not rejected, but they also don't make the sale and they lose their job. Now, that's why it's important to pay less attention to what people say and more attention to what people actually do. And as we continue through this lesson of the indispensable employee, stay with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. And this is Dr. Tom saying, see you in the class.
Okay, in this lesson, we want to talk about why everybody is replaceable. And we said earlier because of technology is a big one. But primarily, people are replaceable because at the end of the day, no one is really special. I hate to burst your bubble out there because I'm sure for the last 20 years, your mom has been telling you you're special, there's nobody like you, and how talented you are. Maybe you even were on a soccer team where everybody got a trophy for participation. And that's just the dumbing down of society. And while you may not be special, you may be unique, but you're only unique like everybody else. And we find this as a tough lesson to hoe, especially in our modern society. And the hard part is realizing that at any point in time, the world can come right along and whack you out of the ballpark for no other reason except you were there. In fact, there's a movie called Rourke's Drift. And the young soldier, he's about 19, standing next to the sergeant major, and he's in panic mode because they're looking at 3,000 Zulus getting ready to wipe them out. And he says, why us? Why do we have to die? And the sergeant major turns to him and he says, because we're here, lad. There's nobody else. It's just us. And so everybody is replaceable. Now, a lot of times people will say, well, I have this great talent, artistic talent or mathematical talent. I have desire. I have drive. Well, big zippity-doo wow. The world is filled with people who have amazing talent and drive. In fact, I knew a band in Los Angeles, and these guys were incredible. Every night at the local clubs, they would pack the place. They sang better than anybody else. Their musicality was better than anybody else. Their stage presence was better than anybody else. But they never were able to make that jump from club band to major record label. And you can say, well, it's just the winds of the gods or whatever is going on in that regard. But they just never made that jump. Where I've seen people of lesser talent, lesser drive, and lesser ability go on to do really great things. Now, desire is not enough. You have to have a plan. And that's why I told my kids when they started college, do what you have to do today so that you can be what you want to be tomorrow. Let me say that again. Do what you have to do today so that you can be what you want to be tomorrow. And this can be education, it can be a relationship, it can be financial security, any of those things. Now, here's another tough nut to grapple on with. Those who are unable to motivate themselves must be content with mediocrity. And you see this all the time where people just give up and they really don't want to drive. And what was it, the guy on was it one of the TV shows where the guy said, if you just set your standards really low, you'll never be disappointed. It was King of Queens. That's what he said. He said he always set low standards for himself. That's because he didn't want to be disappointed. Now, as you go through these courses, you have to realize that it's more important to pay less attention to what the people around you are saying and more important to watch what they do. Now, that's really important, so I'm going to repeat it again. Pay less attention to what people say, just watch what they do, because a lot of times people will say one thing and do another. And like a friend of mine, he kept trying to sell me stocks all the time, and all I wanted to buy was gold, physical gold. And he said, "Oh, well, you buy physical gold, and it's not going to get the same return on investment." And I thought, yeah, that might be true, but at the end of the day, has gold ever been worth zero? And how many stocks have people had that are worth zero? Enron comes to mind. So as we go on with this lesson, we're going to delve more into it. And it might be a little uncomfortable for some people, but at the end of the day, truth generally is uncomfortable. So this is Dr. Tom saying stay with us for the next lesson.